Yo! What's up, everybody? It's Corey, host of the Grease Pole Podcast. Here to bring you a preview of the NFC Championship game. This has been the collision course for about a month, a little over. It's felt all along like it was going to be Birds 49ers, right? You've got the best team in the NFC, the hottest team in the NFC, and best offense, best defense overall. Check for a classic matchup. So, recording this thing at 48 hours away from kickoff, basically exactly. The Birds just released a hype video. Dawkins is the narrator, of course, as always. Who the fuck else would you get? So, we're in that mode. It's nice to have the Birds playing in the NFC title game yet again. And when you stop and think about it, man, we've been in this spot more often probably than people realize, right? You had the 5 that Andy took us to. The one with Dougie P a couple years ago, 2018, we won the Super Bowl 52, and now here we are again 5 years later. So I know as somebody that grew up, I turned 35 in April, someone that grew up with, both the Detmer brothers on the roster at the same time, Richie Kotite and shit. This ain't a bad stretch. It's a good time to be an Eagles fan. So let's go ahead and break down this matchup, same way as we did the divisional matchup against the Giants. And, what I want to do first is look at when the Eagles have the ball, right, when we're on offense. So, and it all starts with the quarterback. Jalen Hurts, MVP finalist, he's back, 100% healthy, and that's huge for the Birds offensively. Sirianni called him the team's Michael Jordan after the 38-7 drubbing of the Giants in the divisional round. And look, it's a soundbite. That he doesn't exactly mean that, Hurts is the best player in the NFL, but it's the importance of QB1 to the culture and the locker room. This team is at its best when the running game is going and that O-line is doing its thing. You get Hurts moving on a couple of those designed runs that he's so great at. The improvements he's made as a passer this season are well documented. And, given the fact that Nick Bosa tallied nearly half of San Francisco's sacks on the year, when Hurts takes off running or in the running game in general, you can scheme away from Nick Bosa, right? It's possible to kind of take him out of the game a little bit. You're not going to entirely eliminate a guy like Nick Bosa, but you can scheme away from him. The one thing that can't happen is turnovers. And I guess you could say that about any team or any game, but the 3 times that the Eagles lost a turnover battle this year are their only 3 losses on the season. And San Francisco will damn sure make you pay for it. So Jalen's been at the forefront of the MVP conversation all season, even during the 2 games he missed for a reason, and for him to do what he's done all year, using his mobility to extend plays and grab a few yards when needed, it'll be more difficult against DeMeco Ryans' defense, but regardless of what Bart Scott had to say, right, can't wait. This motherfucker is a stud at quarterback. Is he Burrow? No, but they're 2 different types of quarterbacks as well. So you've got an MVP finalist as quarterback. You've got yourself a superstar, point blank. Backs and receivers for the Birds. Look, Eagles don't have a Christian McCaffrey, but they're still capable of gaining more yardage on the ground than anybody. You've got Hurts. Miles Sanders is having his best year of his NFL career. Kenny Gainwell, Mr. Third Down, is coming off his best game in his NFL career. And you've always got Boston Scott's pesky ass hanging around. So it's more of a death by 1,000 paper cuts with the Eagles running game than it is the flashy, expensive sports car with CMC and the 49ers. After a quiet week by A.J. Brown standards last week, look for him to come out the gate on a mission here. Like the 49ers, Sirianni, Shane Steichen, this Eagles offense can spread you out and attack you anywhere and in a variety of ways. And the Niners have allowed big numbers to top-end wide receivers this postseason, with DK Metcalf and CeeDee Lamb both having 10 receptions each for 100-plus yards in the wild card and divisional round, respectively. So keep in mind, the Birds have more weapons to throw to throw at San Francisco rather than either Seattle or Dallas did, and that includes Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. The Niners are down a starting corner. You've had Charvarius Ward out there on an island. But you also have Fred Warner, who's one of the NFL's best linebackers, and he's one of the rare linebackers that can actually hang with guys in coverage consistently. But, you look at the state of the Niners secondary, they're going to need Nick Bosa to wreak havoc, which is something that he's done all year long. It's why he's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year, which, by the way, it's bullshit that Hassan Reddick wasn't even named a goddamn finalist. Not to mention, Sirianni wasn't a finalist for Coach of the Year. Topic for another day, but it's still bullshit. Let's look at the trenches. And if you love watching offensive lines and defensive lines just be awesome, this is the game for you, right? This matchup feels like an old school cage match from the Territory days, or, that dog collar match between Roddy Piper and Greg Valentine at Starrcade 83. It's going to be physical, it's going to be nasty, and I cannot fucking wait to watch this shit. As we said, San Francisco has Nick Bosa, and he's fucking excellent. But with Lane Johnson back, you've got 5 guys up front that are the best in the league at what they do. It's a group of maulers. The Birds are at their best, as we said, when running, that running game's firing on all cylinders. That O-line loves to put dudes on a sled, and Bosa's a problem for sure, but he's yet to go up against a front that features all pros and all Pro Bowlers. So, look, I'm not downplaying Nick Bosa here. I'm not. But I'm just saying that there's ways to get around him as a singular player. It's already been done against Micah Parsons this year with the Eagles and other teams as well. So don't get it twisted. If there's anyone that can affect the Eagles' offense aside from themselves, it's number 97. But this offensive line has been the best in the league all year long. Let's flip it to the defensive side of the ball. Niners quarterback, Brock Purdy. It's an awesome story, okay? And it's kind of got a little Kurt Warner vibes, a little bit to it. Mr. Irrelevant out of Iowa State entered, the season this year as a rookie third stringer, finds himself at the helm after injuries to Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. Since then, San Francisco hasn't lost a single game. Purdy's 7-0 as a starter, and, while he doesn't light up the box score very often, he's super efficient. He hangs tough. He doesn't get rattled easily. Purdy's not a dual threat. He's not going to, take off from that standpoint, take off running, but it's easier to game plan for a guy like Purdy in that regard. But this offense, as talented as it's been for a while now, they've been loaded. It's looked the best it has with Brock Purdy under center. Backs and receivers. San Francisco is the only team in the NFC whose offense is as loaded across the board as the Eagles. That trade for Christian McCaffrey has been a game changer. You add him to Elijah Mitchell coming out of the backfield. But CMC is the biggest threat that's going to come out of either backfield in this game. And ultimately, they are a run-first team. And let's face it, the Eagles have struggled at times to stop the run. So expect San Francisco to lean on the run as long as the pace of the game and the scoreboard will allow it. On the perimeter, the Niners have their own lethal tandem out there at wide receiver with Deebo Samuel, who appears to be healthy now, and Brandon Ayuk. Both guys are yak monsters. And, of course, there's George Kittle, who can do it all at the tight end position. Kyle Shanahan's one of the best in the league at utilizing every inch of the field, spreading guys out and creating mismatches. The 49ers have done a lot of damage on the intermediate routes over the middle of the field, which if there's a weakness in the Eagles' defense, that's certainly one of them. So, most defenses can't hang with the talent that San Francisco has across the field, but the Birds have the personnel to be able to do so, or at least kind of stifle it a little bit. The Eagles' secondary, it's been opportunistic all year long. And again, credit Howie Roseman for bringing in James Bradbury, with him and Darius Slay giving the Birds the best 1-2 punch at corner in the NFL, quite frankly. And you already know the deal with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Missed 5 games, still came away tied for the league lead in interceptions. And, recently had his car stolen. Fuck whoever stole his car. If Buddy doesn't re-sign with the Birds because of that, you overtake Santa Claus in terms of all-time heels shit list for Eagles fans. So regardless, what was once a weakness for the Eagles is now a strength for this team with the secondary. It's capable of jumping routes, can even put the pressure on the quarterback when Jonathan Gannon chooses to. Purdy didn't look great at times against Dallas. He didn't have to, but again, he did struggle a little bit at times against Cowboys in the divisional round, and this Eagles defense can present a much bigger challenge for Mr. Irrelevant. Let's look at the trenches. San Francisco's O-line. The Niners have the best singular pass rusher in the NFL with Nick Bosa, as we said, but the Eagles have the best collective pass rush in the NFL as a unit. Again, San Francisco finished the year with 44 sacks, where the Birds came 1 sack shy of the all-time single-season record with 70. The Niners have a good O-line. Mike McGlinchey's great, and him going against Haason Reddick will be a blast to watch. Philly's pass rush is the strength of the team, and when you've got 4 guys that reach double-digit sacks, that speaks to the depth up front that Jonathan Gannon has at his disposal. So Shanahan's going to have to, he's going to need those quick routes, options for Brock Purdy to get rid of the ball quickly if he's under pressure, since he's not incredibly mobile. And again, like we said, expect the Niners to run the ball, to run first as much as possible, as long as the game will allow it. And Purdy hasn't seen a pass rush quite like the Eagles have, because there's been no other like it in the NFL this year. It's a historic pass rush, literally. So in terms of advantages, at quarterback, I give the advantage to the Birds because of Hurts' ability to run. Backs and receivers, let's call it a push, right? There's not a weak spot on either roster in terms of offensive weapons with everybody healthy, which we have on both sides of the ball. And then the trenches. I'm going to give the nod to the Eagles here. Both have really good O-lines, and the Niners have Bosa, but the tiebreaker to me is the insane and incredible depth that the Eagles have along the defensive line. So, look, this game's going to be a fight, and it's got all the makings of a classic. The Eagles' offense finished first in the NFC in points and yards per game. The Niners' defense sat atop the NFC in points and yards per game in terms of defensively. This has 2 evenly matched, 2 well-coached, 2 star-studded teams. One's been the best in the NFC all year, and the other's the hottest team in the NFC entering this game. Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy, I'm sure you've heard this before over the course of this week leading up to this game, but they faced off in November of 2019 when Hurts was with Oklahoma and Purdy played for Iowa State. Both guys put up big numbers because why the fuck wouldn't you? It's a Big 12 game. Nobody plays defense in the Big 12. But it was Hurts that came away with the win, 42-41. And look, that's not good. I'm not saying that automatically means the Birds are going to win. And if you look at the score, kind of a track meet, that's not going to happen here. This isn't the Big 12. I don't think either quarterback lights it up in this game, but when it comes down to it, I trust Hurts, and this isn't just me being an Eagles fan here, but I believe Hurts, I trust him more to hold it down against the Niners defense more than I do Purdy against the Eagles defense. But, I see this game as a back-and-forth tug-of-war battle, with both teams strong in the trenches. But ultimately, I think the Eagles' experience, their, consistency, tenacity, and most importantly, that depth along the not only the offensive but defensive line will give the Birds a slight edge. Final score here, Eagles 23, 49ers 16. What are your thoughts on facing San Francisco in the NFC Championship? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for plenty of Eagles content coming your way throughout the playoffs. Hopefully the run continues. But either way, as free agency and the draft approach as well, which aren't far off, people. Also, you can listen to the flagship, the mothership, the Grease Pole Podcast, each and every Monday, where new episodes can be found not only here on our YouTube channel where you can subscribe, but on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well, or wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. So, again, NFC Championship Sunday's right around the corner. Enjoy it, whatever your superstitions are. If you're a superstitious bastard like me, make sure you hold true to them. Don't let it be your fault that the Birds lose on Sunday. So, again, hopefully that won't happen, but it's going to be a hell of a game. And can't wait till kickoff, 3 o'clock on Sunday. Can't wait to see what happens. We'll see you next time. As always, go Birds.